Dweeb.
No, he's not. Probably gonna join the group like a boomer. There he is.
Nope. Trying to get my screen stuff up.
Copper, no. Cho's here. Bearnose here. Rebels is fucked. Kelsey. Songhair's here. Brown here. Armstrong here. Boosh is not gonna be here. Custard's here. Oh, Wilson. Not here. And Kelly. I don't think Kelly's supposed to be here. I don't know why he's in my chat. Alright, perfect. Alright, so first part of day 2. So BLC we used to, day 2 is more oriented towards stuff that can be practically applied. However, most of you coming in with FTL experience don't really need that practical application. And so we're just going to talk about it due to time constraints. If we have a little bit of time at the end, we'll prac at, but we'll just kind of do some map stuff, come on the dog. Rather than what we used to do is just I would develop a mini mission, set a squad lead, they pick their FTLs, blah, blah, blah. And that just took up massive amounts of time to get people rotated through. And there's not as much practical stuff to apply, so it kind of makes it redundant to go through all that in a 45-minute session. So first section of day 2 is going to be a review of day 1. So tell me what the leadership principles are.
Got 2, sir. Earn, not given, and inspiration, not delegation.
Beautiful. Custer, were you here for day 1?
I was not, but I watched the video.
Damn, watch the video. He's showing up on my day 1ers. Fuck. Alright. Let me just scroll up here. Alright, yeah, so respect is earned, never given. Inspiration, not delegation. We talked about that. We're not going to hammer a dead horse here. Who can tell me what tact is?
Communicating in the most professional way possible.
Right. I don't know if I talked about this. I think I did, actually, because I was watching the video. But communicating the best way possible, knowing your audience, not always being Mr. Nice Guy. That seems to be the skewed belief that a company's tact, where you're just ultra nice and you put on a facade of this model NCO, and then you're a shitbag when you're in the audience of people who allow you to be shitbags. That's not it. Don't do that, because it not only just reflects poorly on you as an NCO, but as the NCO Corps as a whole, and your command. Because, if you're a fucking shitbag when they're not around, and then you're model NCO and they catch wind of you being a shitbag, then it's kind of like, well, fuck, I thought this guy was kosher and squared away, but no, then breeds more issues. So just conduct yourself in a tact manner all the time. Obviously, you can ease up on the tact in certain situations, but not flip a switch and be a dirtbag. Don't need to talk about Admiral Nimitz, the great man that he was. Combat mindset. So you don't have to go over the combat mindset, just some key points from the combat mindset. Anybody got like a key point they really took from that? There's like 2, I think, that we should really hammer home.
The CAR acronym.
Yeah. So not talking like directly what CAR means, but rather like when we read the paragraphs out about, I guess, what each letter meant. There's like 2 really important points that stood out.
Always being alert and calm and relaxed.
Kind of.
Ready to make decisions.
So 2 points that should be hammered home comes from the confident and calm. It's the last sentence in the or last part of the confident and calm paragraph. It's okay to be uncertain of a decision or outcome, but it's not acceptable to allow those below you to sense the possible danger or anger felt by their direct leadership. So I talked about face, Colonel Hackworth, when he was a sergeant, fucking had that captain or company commander who was just dog shit, kind of a spook. And those transgressions fell upon his company, and they thought they were going to get him killed. Morale was in the dumps, shit like that. So don't want him to feel angry. Don't want him to feel, your hesitation. Just be confident, calm when you're barking out orders. And people are going to be like, well, fuck yeah. And, he says we can do it. We're doing it. That's one of the bigger points. And then skipping to aware and alert. In combat operations, is imperative that you know what the level below you, and the level above you is doing. And garrison leaders must be aware and alert of their audience. So that last part ties into tact, being aware and alert of your audience. A good example, I guess, of being aware to alert your audience was if any of you were there for the discussion in Community Square about the fucking Liberation server. There was one troublesome pack who was, for lack of a better term, bitching and moaning about this fucking lib server, and it was basically he wanted something that not the entire community wanted, or that we already tried and didn't work out, and he was just fucking going on and on. And I wanted to fucking blow up on him because I was like, hey, you're being a fucking idiot right now. Just shut up. But, I can't do that, especially not Community Square where the entire Discord can see it. It's not very officer-like, nor would it be NCO-like to do that. So I kind of try to break it down and be as tact as possible, not letting, me just turn into a shitbag because it's Community Square and kind of fair game. But it's a good application of knowing your audience and then knowing what the level above you, below you, and what you are doing. Talked about knowing the platoon intentions, what's the entire platoon doing, know what your squad's role and that intention is, and then knowing what your fire teams are doing so you can better employ your fire teams and your squad as a whole. Any questions on that stuff? Perfect. All right, who's got what OODA loop is?
Observe, orient, decide, act, and then loop it back to the top.
Perfect. What's the difference between mission success and personal success?
Mission success is completing tasking in the way it was given. Personal success is making sure you and your packs have fun doing it.
Yep. So mission success, achieving an objective given to you, tasking. Personal success as an NCO, retention, which is keeping guys alive and having fun. All right, that's good. NCO should be able to be flexible in that intent when addressing other situations on the battlefield. No plans for adverse contact. Yeah, we went over that. So I guess we can elaborate a little more on it. Just me thinking something on a whim. But being flexible. So obviously we talk about no plans for adverse contact. We do all this fucking MET-TC stuff. We do all this op-board stuff. We've got it all planned out. But as soon as that first shot's fired, it goes to shit, and then it's on a wing. So you need to be flexible because there's not always going to be a PL fucking directly standing behind you, or a company commander, or first sergeant, or P-sergeant to give you directions. So you need to be flexible in recognizing the intent of the operation, because the plan is the execution of the intent on a bigger scale, but you still need to be able to recognize the intent and your personal your mission and personal success. And so you sit there and you're like, okay, how's my next movement based on this situation, this fucking contact, how is it going to influence mission success, which is achieving the general intent of the operation, and personal success, which is me not walking through a minefield to get this intent done because the enemy forced my hand and I'm surrounded, shit like that. So you have to be flexible in making those decisions. Something I experienced a lot as a squad leader was you come across an IED in a convoy, or I guess more specifically a vehicle coming towards you, and we all have bad experiences with VBIDs. Some on the road, some on the roof. But you don't know whether it's like, okay, are we cleared hot? Is it gonna fucking blow me up? What is he allowed to be coming at a convoy? Do we fire warning shots, etc. You in that situation have to make the decision. You have to be flexible in the intent. So that comes with understanding the MET-C and the op board, which is another important point, is keeping your Joes in the know. We'll elaborate further on that after I get past this point. But being flexible in that, you read the MET-C and you're like, shit, we're already in hot water with these civilians right now. We probably shouldn't be just shooting up Vicks. So maybe you just hit him with a couple warning shots. If he doesn't divert, then you divert the convoy a little bit, or et cetera, et cetera. Just recognizing, you being flexible and you having a small portion of power to make a somewhat very big decision. It might seem small where it's like, okay, do I dome this guy or not? But it could have repercussions down the line. And so you need to be flexible enough to make that decision in the interest of saving the lives of your fellow comrades and the intention of the operation. Yeah, and then keeping your Joes in the know, just to rehash on that, it's very important. That's why we do the MET-C, that's why we do the op board, so people can understand the situation we're in. And it's not just the leaders knowing that we have to PID, that there's civilians, that there's an HVT that needs to be captured alive, that there's intel that needs to be secured. That's so that, fucking it falls on deaf ears when it's coming from a PL. You know, you sit there in your debrief, you know, something like this, and then, you know, people are just kind of listening to you and they just kind of zone you out. I used to sit in briefs all the time when I was a private and just be on my phone and not listen because I just want to go out and shoot shit. But you give those people those extra resources that they just kind of look at when they've got the time to do it, and they're like, oh shit, you know, fucking, I didn't know tires being nailed onto buildings and trees were, you know, Taliban indicators of points of interest, you know, whether it's a weapons cache or fucking Taliban controlled area, et cetera, et cetera. So then they pick that up, they see it on op, they're like, oh shit, you know, hey, there's probably gonna be something in here, you know, they check it out. Or, you know, oh shit, that's what my HVT looks like, I should probably not dome him. Because there's not always going to be a command member there to snatch that stuff or, you know, observe that stuff and process it. And so, which was very prevalent. I think it's 2-3 operations ago, probably 2. There was a warlord after we captured an HVT that we were supposed to go deal with. It was capture kill, and we had gotten the description that he was a fucking wearing a boonie. And I wasn't there directly, you know, I was just kind of fucking sitting in the backfield, was kind of end up. I was just letting platoons do their shit. And fucking, what do I know? The guy got domed, which first HVT I had luckily found. I'd pointed him out. I saw him peeping at me through a window. So I was like, you know, hey, pass this down to your fucking boys. That building's a priority. Don't fire fucking explosives into it. Don't fire them at it. You know, he's in that building, so be aware. But obviously for the warlord, I wasn't able to. And then I finally moved into the town, and I went, oh, there's a dead warlord at my feet. So that's why we do that. We keep Joes in the know to help further operational proficiency. And people just like to know what's going on. You know, there's fucking big unit changes. Supposed to be tries to be pretty transparent on what's going to happen. You know, goals and changes coming to the unit because he wants you guys to know. And so it's not just an instantaneous change. And people are like, what the fuck? You know, what's going on? Fucking so-and-so got booted out, or so-and-so got fucking, you know, my squad's getting shut down, or my platoon's getting shut down, or shit like that. He's very transparent on that. He keeps you in the know, so you know what's fucking going on. Now that's a little more important than keeping your Joes in the know about PIDs and fucking just general mission info. How can I help you, Rabbit? Now I know this rabbit didn't just fucking just open this fucking door on me. So who is it? Oh, my pistol on me, you lucky bastard. Anyway, so keeping Joes in the know. It's not as important as fucking, you know, Busby spitting out some unit change shit, but it's still very important for increasing operational proficiency. People just like to know what's going on. So done with day 2. Actually, we got one more concept from day 1. Sorry, day 1 review is what I meant to say, not day 2. Resolutions. What's the 2 main forms of resolutions, and what's the difference?
Indirect and direct.
Okay, got the difference or no?
Oh, so direct's like, I think your example was like 2 dudes were like arguing. You direct would be like you like coming to them and then like just telling them to like chill, you know, like you sorting them out yourself. That would be direct. While indirect would be like, I don't know, getting someone else to do it, right? No.
Yeah. So direct. I noticed an issue. I could correct that detriment myself. Sorry, I gotta catch my breath. Don't vape, kids. So yeah, direct me. I go deal with it myself. I say, hey, you're fucked up. You're fucked up. Go fuck yourselves. Not like that, but in more of a tag manner. And then indirect, we play mommy daddy games. We go to their mom. We go to their dad. We say, hey, fucking squad lead, your Joe's fucked up. He's out of regs. He's arguing with my dude. Something like that. So that's indirect because you're not handling it yourself. You're kind of handling it, but you're not the one actually doing the ass chewing. And so, like I said, most of the time it's probably going to be a mix of both, where you're like, hey, don't do this. And then, you know, they might continue or fucking ignore you. And then you go indirect. But direct is usually if you're in their chain of command. And if they're in your chain of command, then they're probably not going to be doing stupid shit in front of you. But you never fucking know. All right, let me just go over my notes here and make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, so not my platoon lines. Okay, so some important that I harp on a lot. If you're in my company, you might have heard me say it, especially if you're an NCO and I catch you doing it. But bitch up, not down. So let's say there's an operational deficiency, fucking a VBIT on a construction site roof, for example. What is let's see, do I have any NCOs? We'll go with Davis because he's billeted. Davis, if you fucking encounter that IED, which I think your platoon actually did, what's you bitching to Private Joe Schmo and your squad gonna do about it?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, right? But you mentioned where to your PL, your PSART, who's probably already tracking, but you mentioned where to it. What's that gonna get done?
That's going to get more knowledge and awareness of the current situation and a possible direction.
Yeah, so they're gonna take that knowledge. They're gonna be like, well, shit. It's gonna change operational plans maybe, but it's also they're gonna get it fixed because obviously VBIT on a roof, that's fucking unsat. That's a huge fucking misstep on intelligence part. But they're gonna go to the PL is gonna go to the officers club or go to Busby or something and say, hey, this is totally unsat. This shouldn't be happening. And Busby's either gonna offer an explanation for it or he's gonna be like, yeah, that's unsat. We're gonna get it fixed. But Private Joe Schmo, who might be intimidated of Busby or not even fucking know who Busby is just going to internalize that and build resentment towards intelligence and be like, yeah, fucking missions suck or Zeus suck. So bitch up, not down, because bitching down does nothing for you. I caught it in op one time where we were sitting on a hill, or one platoon was sitting on a hill while one platoon took a military base, and I had an NCO directly next to me. This was back when I was first sergeant. Why are we sitting on a hill? This is fucking boring. Which they were actually probably getting the majority of the contact, but they were like, we're sitting on a hill. It's fucking boring. Why don't we do shit? Blah, blah, blah. And so that doesn't do anything. That spreads that mom mentality that we talked about day one, where it's like, yeah, this fucking sucks, and then that just brings down morale. People aren't having fun. So I didn't take a direct resolution. I went to his PSAR and I said, hey, fucking, this guy's bitching down. Sorry, not up. And I don't want to fucking hear it right now. And so he corrected it, and then I made it my mission to keep the Joe in the know about why we were doing what we were doing. From a company's perspective, it made a lot of sense. I formed an L with my platoons, and I fucking had one platoon in an SBF on a hill that was fucking directly overlooking this military base, with both ingress points covered by that platoon. While one platoon was making the movement, I would have fixed in a maneuver element, and they were the fixed element, and it made perfect sense to me, and it fucking worked out in the end because we took minimal casualties and totally dunked on any QRF coming in. But fucking Joe Schmo sitting on the hill, it does seem just like that. You're sitting on a hill just shooting shit. And so I made it my mission to go back to that NCO and say, hey, this is why we're doing what we're doing. Can you understand that? If you don't, help me make you understand that. What would you have done differently? What would you have liked? If he says some stupid shit, I'm like, well, that wouldn't have worked. But if he's like, oh, well, you're right, I fucking understand now. That was kind of stupid of me to say. Yada yada. It wouldn't have made sense to split up the platoons, one taking a military base, one taking a entire airfield. So he was on board with that. He was all good with it. But yeah. All right, so that's enough of day one, and then bitch up but not down was kind of a little bit of just shit thrown in there. So day two, team employment / deployment. So we got PCCs, PCIs. Who can tell me what they are and what the difference is? Roger. So PCC, pre-combat check. PCI, pre-combat inspection. So pre-combat check. I'm looking at my squad. So let's say you guys are my squad. Let's say we got one AR. We got a grenadier, we got one medic, and then the rest of you are riflemen. I'm like, well, shit. I got one AR and a bunch of fucking riflemen. I got no ATS, so I'm going to say, custod, pick up a fucking, if I'm saying that wrong, please correct me, by the way.
No, that's perfect, sir.
Custod, fucking pick up a Maz. Brown, you're going to pick up a 240. Kelsey, I want you to grab a fucking disposable tube. Fucking Davis in the back, carry a few extra boxes for Brown. So it's looking at your squad as a whole, as you're looking at your element, and in a sense making it well-rounded. So you're correcting your deficiencies in your squad. So you're like, oh shit, I don't have any MGs. So I'm, I kind of force my platoon leader's hand by making me the maneuver element. Because I'm more specialized in that, but we want you to be versatile so we can move you around and get everybody into the action, not just okay, this platoon's got MGs or the squad's got MGs, so they're going to be sitting on this hill in SBF most of the time. So we do that. to well-round your squad out, correct deficiencies, because you might be off on your own. A BMP comes up, you got no AT, then you're like, well, shit. Then you're fucking on the horn with your PL and your fucking combat controller while you're getting murked by this BMP saying, I need immediate strike, blah, blah, blah. And then you're probably dead before you can get off, fucking position at markings. So that's why we do PCC, just correcting overall deficiencies within your squad's equipment makeup. And then PCIs, pre-combat inspection, is catering your squad or your element to the mission. So you're briefed that there's a heavy armor threat. We're taking an airfield. There's a mechanized garrison there. And you got one Moz. So you're going to say, well, hey, let's say Cho's my Moz guy. I'm going to say, Cho, you're going to fucking drop all your HE. You're only bringing heat. Baranel, I want you to also pick up a Moz. Or, maybe, Baranel, you're going to be my Jav guy if company approves it. Or, hey, Armstrong, I'm going to need you to carry some heat rounds for Cho. Brown, why don't you grab a extra AT4? Maybe you're taking VIX. Hey, let's throw a couple disposables into the VIX. Shit like that. So PCC, just making sure your element as a whole is well-rounded for most situations. PCI is specifically catering your element to the mission. Now, that's not to say you should totally, fuck your squad makeup and say, okay, everybody's going to carry a Moz. We're going to mechanized, there's a mechanized force coming against us. It's like, nah, okay, this guy fucking rifleman grenadier, maybe I'll have him pick up a dispo. It's not just, you should try and maintain that well-rounded status. So you should always be doing PCCs, but PCIs aren't necessarily mandated. So you don't have to be like, okay, we're going against mechanized. I definitely need to pick up another Moz. It's like, no, you don't have to. If you'd like to, might be smart, but it's not like, okay, you're going to drop your MG because we're going against mechanized. Now I have no MGs and some extra AT. And then turns out the intel was bad. There's not that much recognized or Cav already fucking dunked on it. So don't compromise your well-roundedness in your PCC or from your PCC when establishing your PCI. If that makes sense. Kill. Any questions about PCCs, PCIs? Kill. All right. So now we got three-way employment. Anybody ever heard that term? Might know what I mean.
No.
So it's going to be a keyword, another acronym. We love our acronyms here. It's going to be LAS, L-A-S. So looking at three-way employment, and I'll give you kind of a hint. So looking at the squad level, LAS, anybody got a guess of what any of those letters might mean?
Lead assault support.
There you go. Baranow's got it. Lead assault support. So what's my lead element? Someone other than Baranow. Looking at a squad, what's my lead?
Alpha?
Nope. My lead's actual, right? I got my squad leader, my squad medic.
Yeah.
That's my lead element. What's my assault element?
Alpha.
There you go. Alpha's your door kickers, your fucking go-getters. What's my support element?
Bravo.
Bravo. Fucking process of elimination. All right. So three-way employment. When using three-way employment, most always, all three of those elements are going to be employed, but we always have two active. And now they might not seem like they're active, so you might say the lead's always active. Squad leaders are always looking for shit, barking out orders, adjusting the squad, OODA looping, shit like that, slaying babies. But technically not. He might be sitting on a hill, he gave out tasking, he's just sitting there observing. Yeah, he's observing, but it's like, is he really doing anything? Is he kicking down doors? Is he on the horn getting a resupply? Whatever. But two of them are always active. Like I said, most of them are always going to be active, but two always need to be active and should be active, because then you're doing something wrong. So say we're sitting at an LZ, like nothing's going on, you still need that three-way employment. You need your Alpha pulling security, southeast, southwest. You need your Bravo, northwest, northeast. And so looking at that, it's like, oh, well, I don't really need to do anything. But yeah, you do, because they need to be employed operationally to help further the execution of the intent. And so Alpha, you're going to go kick down doors. Bravo, you're going to SBF them. Maybe Bravo's not in contact, but they're still providing that SBF and Overwatch for the door kickers while they clear that building. So three-way employment, does that make sense?
Cool.
Roger. All right. So going into some stinky Corporal's Course stuff, just kind of give you a little insight into what to expect for Corporal's Course. So Corporal's Course kind of orients towards the BLC is basically the intro to small unit leadership. Kind kind of principles, how to act, general knowledge about certain shit that you kind of do subconsciously as a leader. Corporal's course is a little more oriented towards squad leading, a little more in depth on some stuff we talked about in here, and then like reading a map and shit, how to do counselings. And then SLC is an even greater one, which is like peace art type stuff and understanding them at sea and shit like that. So I'll throw a little Corporal's course knowledge at you. So if you go into Corporal's course and you're a motivator and you got your notes and somebody asks, hey, what's a point target? Or what's the fucking, what's the maximum engagement distance for a target, and you're like, 0 to 500. And they're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, this guy knows his shit. So, I'm not going to go over counseling. So I guess we'll go to the map here. Just looking at the map, we're going to go up here. So you guys see my laser pointer just northeast of us here. So we're going to talk about establishing positions. And so you have 3 types of positions. You have your primary, your secondary, and your alternative. So your primary position is your primary position. That's what you're going to. That's what you're setting out on. We're going to say Hill 58 is my primary position. Let's say this fucking X right here is my objective. Hill 58 right here, primary position. All right? That's where I'm going. That's where I want to be. That's the fucking optimum spot, for that target, for that objective. Secondary position is a position that shares the same field of view and visibility, but is in a different spot. So Hill 72, perfect secondary position. Maybe there's like trees or something, you can't really see the entire thing, but it's still a good spot. And maybe you can't maneuver down to the objective as well from Hill 72. So you're like, oh, well, fuck, fucking secondary position. Alternate position shares not really. Alternate's kind of more of a fallback point. We'll say that this T intersection is my alternate. It's kind of like where I might have a little bit of the same FOV and visibility, but it's more of a fallback if shit really hits the fan. And I guess like a good example of primary, secondary, and alternate is like primary is my point of entry for clearing a compound or clearing a town. Secondary is like a different direction of clearing the town. And then an alternate is like a pre-established CCP. Like shit hits the fan, we need to fall back. It's pre-established. I know where I'm going. Everybody else knows where they're going. It's already, pre-mandated. We're not scattered out. I can concentrate my element to this alternate position and then execute based, after I reach that alternate position. And so primary, secondary, alternate, primary and secondary share the same FOV, but they're not necessarily the same. And alternate is just kind of a fallback point. So, primary, you're like fucking taking on this hill. Secondary, fucking different hill, and then alternate, maybe it's a tree line farther back where you can fall back and re-engage. So that's that. Primary, secondary, alternate positions. So point targeting versus area targeting is kind of talked about in weapons course. If any of you are still familiar with that, but so point targeting, obviously you have a specific point that you're targeting. Maybe it's an element, or rather a squad or something, and you're singling out that squad and you're engaging that squad. And so 0 to 500 is a reasonable point target engagement. 0 to 500 meters. Anything outside that, you're just sending ammo downrange that doesn't need to be sent downrange. Especially in the case of MGs. I fucking hate when MGs take engagements like over 500 because it's like, dude, yeah, are you suppressing them? Yeah, but are they in like effective engagement distance? No. So like, is it really doing anything? No. 500 to 800 is area target. And so if it's, like I said, it's just kind of out there. I can't really see a point where you would ever need to engage a target that far out unless they're engaging you, or like you're trying to, cover an element that's trying to maneuver around them or to them. So that's an area. Obviously, you're not going to be able to effectively inflict damage on them, but you can suppress them while the other element moves up to engage them. You can fucking, it's just area. You're not going to do a whole ton of damage, but you're contributing. And then anything above 800 is just a waste of ammunition. Don't do those engagements unless maybe you're a DMR. So 0 to 500 is a reasonable point target. 500 to 800 is an area. Over 800, don't waste your time. and it comes up more than you think. I don't remember the specific op or situation, but I do remember Busby coming up and he's like, "What are you shooting at?" The guy's like, "Oh, there's a guy out there." And he looked and he's like, "Oh, that's 650 meters out." And the guy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, what's your point target maximum engagement distance?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And he's like, 0 to 500. So he's like, "Why is the lone rifleman shooting at this element 650 meters out, and you're really not fucking doing anything? You're just wasting ammo." Joe's like, "So don't be that guy. Know your limitations." And yeah, we're not going to get into the fucking map. All right, we'll hit a little bit on a little more on resolutions. I'm talking about situational diffusal. So there's the 3 Ds when encountering this like a situation to further elaborate on resolutions, and so 2 of them are kind of going to be direct, and 1 of them's the indirect route. So you have the 3 Ds, you have direct, distract, and delegate. So direct, we already talked about. Hey, I'm going to go up, I'm going to say, hey, you're fucked up, go fuck off, go post security, quit talking about stupid shit or quit arguing, etc., etc. Distract is Kelsey and Custard are really going at it. They're fucking, whatever, calling each other pogues or some shit. And fucking, I come up and I say, "Hey, Custard, I fucking, heard your peace sergeant's looking for you. He's got some knowledge to pass for you," or some shit like that. Or, "Hey, there's a resupply back there. You should go resupply," or blah, 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 whatever. I distract him. I go send him off to do some other shit. I'm like, "Hey, Kelsey, I'm going to need you to come pull security with me on this sector." And wham, bam, they're fucking going their separate ways, and it's over. Then delegate, obviously, indirect, mommy, daddy games. I noticed those 2 are arguing, which I don't think they're in the same squad, but I go to whoever their fucking
We
squad
are,
lead
actually.
is. Oh, word. Hold on, I can guess it. Don't tell me. Is it Wise?
It is.
Yep.
Damn, I knew it. Sorry, I don't know. I know Ares squad leaders, but I don't know fucking Pax and Ares. So, kudos to me, I guess. But yeah, so I go tell Wise, I'm like, "Hey, these guys are fucking being idiots. They're arguing at each other in front of the entire squad about some really dumb shit. Please go fix it." And he does. He goes, "Aye, sir. Because you're not my chain of command." And he goes and fixes it. All right, so that's pretty much it for day 2. We're still going to talk about some stuff, but that's like the main stuff we want to hammer home. Like I said, a lot of day 2 was taking the PCC, PCI 3-way employment and actually executing on it. But, under further observation on my part, because I mostly teach BLC, I don't think there's been a different BLC teacher for months. Even though other people are qualified, I just always take it because I like to spit this knowledge, and I don't like to do the boring map stuff and the boring counseling stuff. Because it's BLC was very much an introduction into the leadership within the unit, and I enjoyed it heavily because it wasn't always something I'd pondered. I came into the unit and I enjoyed shooting shit, and then I went to BLC and I got into FTO, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and so here I am now. But who knows, without that course, I probably would have fucking discharged out of here. And so yeah, like I said, day 2 was a lot of just throwing mini operations at you and saying, "All right, Custer, you're going to be squad lead. Kelsey, your FTO. Brown, your FTO. I gave you the mission. I say conduct PCCs, PCIs, and then you go do a mission or go execute the objective or intent, and then you we would sit there after we called index, and I would say, "Hey, if you have any criticism for how Custard fucking squad lead, say it now. How would you change the plan? What did he do wrong? What did he do right?" And then I'd give my personal observations, but that's kind of pointless because it's not like, yeah, I get to sit there and watch you do stuff and correct deficiencies and kind of give you advice, but at the same time, it's like it's not really accomplishing what the point of it was, which was to practically apply the concepts talked about, which in reality was really only 2 concepts. Because I just made up day 2 because we would just go to the prac app spot, which there's a new BLC come down range from Mr. Busby, but he's very busy. And so we'll talk about some TAC stuff, and we'll open it up to some stories because I think stories are very, very good helping you understand the concept because you get to see it in a real setting, not just me spewing this knowledge at you and then you're like, "Oh yeah," and then you kind of make the connection on your own when it happens. whether it's in the moment that it happens or you kind of looking back at it and you're like, wow, that wasn't a very good example of tact. So I'm confident in talking about this because I think it's a funny story and I think it's good for you to know as the new guard. So does anybody know or hear about Hershey, Taco, Kent, and Westy?
Just what's over the community
No,
channel.
that's like 4 random words.
All right, so a little bit about him. Hershey was my squad lead when I first came to the unit. He was the 1-1 squad lead for Phalanx. Taco was also in 1-1. He was the DMR. He was a specialist for a while. I guess I should talk about Hirsch. So Hirsch was 1-1 squad lead, went on to platoon JTAC, and then further went on to be the first sergeant of the unit, which back at that time, we only had one company. So there was a company commander, a company XO, and a company first sergeant, and that was like the end-all be-all. Like company was the fucking big dogs, like battalion is now. So Hirsch was the first sergeant. After Hayden just kind of stepped away, he moved up to battalion with Hagar. Martinez took over as XO, or maybe CO. Yeah, CO, and then Hirsch was first sergeant. And then later on, Busby came back as XO after he retired from platoon leading. Which, yes, Busby used to be my platoon lead. It was very frightening. He's very different now. Not really. It was more of the environment he was in. He was fucking a little more involved operationally, like actually doing shit. And then you could also have a good time with him. But now it's just kind of all business, and then more out of R&R. But Taco was a specialist. He was like terminal. He had like 200 days TAG as specialist. Didn't really have a desire to move up. He was a DMR for a while. And then he went on to be a platoon medic and get sergeant. Kent came much later. Westy was a fire team leader when I first came into 1-1, who then took the squad lead spot, who then gave his squad lead spot to me so he could go lead a new squad that was being opened up. And then Kent came much later after 1-3 was established, where Westy went, and he was kind of buddy-buddy with all of them. I was also buddy-buddy with all of them. I played games with them in the off time. We were always hanging out. So was Busby and Cooper and that whole crowd. And so those four, kind of not edgy, but they definitely weren't super serious. They kind of were, they knew that they had to get shit done, but also they were kind of shitheads. Kent especially, which you'll learn about. But so there was a situation that happened where there was a big, it's kind of shut down now because we're a lot tighter on it because of certain situations like this. But there was a guy named Holmes who had a skull with a the blue stripe, back to blue, etc., as his profile picture. And so we'd kind of prided ourselves, or not prided ourselves, but we kind of we said, hey, don't talk about politics, but we're like, profile pictures, it's all right as long as it's not too provocative. And this was, I believe, right at the height of the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin situation. And so somebody saw that, they're like, hey, I'm not with that. Can you ask him to change it? And he's like, no, that's fine. Like, it's a profile picture. He's not like openly talking about it. That's just, he's showing off his beliefs in a more than suitable way. And so they were like, well, no, that's fucked. You can't censor some shit and let's not censor some more shit. So they got really pissed off, Hershey, Taco, and Kent. And so Kent set his Discord status to kill pedophiles and lynch Nazis or something like that. And we're like, dude, you can't. Like, yeah, that's like, obviously pedophiles and Nazis aren't good, but you like legitimately can't have that. Like, that's just not good. And he's like, no, you can censor me, but you can't censor this dude with his profile picture, yada yada. There was just a big fucking meltdown over that shit, and how there was, fucking Kent was talking to Hagar, and he was fucking like ready to dip out. He's like, oh, there's a mass unit exodus here. Multiple NCOs are ready to leave. When in reality, it was just him, Taco, and Hershey. And like I said, I was a part of that crowd, but I was like this. I think I was asleep at the time actually, because it was late at night. Yeah, it was fucking super late at night, and I like didn't even know what fucking happened in the morning. I was like, oh yeah, damn. So like I didn't have a chance to like get into the situation, which I probably wouldn't have because I fucking hate politics. But so they shortly after all resigned from the unit. They chose that hill to die on, and so in that sense, don't be like them. Don't fucking. I guess the life lesson here is be tact, know your audience, and I guess the more important one is that command. Like, this unit's been here 6 years, trying to think. Founded in 2016. 5 years. Unit's been here 5 years. You know, we've survived that shit. There was a big mass exodus back when we were much smaller, and it killed half the unit. You know, there was just dark days of the unit, but we bounced back. And it's the way I used to put it was command doesn't give a shit, but like we do. But it's also like, you know, we're not going to cave into somebody threatening to mass exodus from the unit to get what they want. That's just not how it works. Command sets the rules and regulations. You follow them. If you bring it up in a professional setting where you're like, hey, you know, can we revise this rule? It's definitely not like super cool, or like, hey, you know, I think it could be a little more, you know, worded a little differently, or include some examples of what's not okay. Like, yeah, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, we'll examine that with you. But if you're like, if you go out and just set your Discord status to something provocative, and then you're like refusing to change it, and threatening a mass exodus, that shit's just not gonna happen. That's not how you go about it. You're gonna die on the stupid fucking hill, and you're gonna get out of here. And so that was that situation. Westy actually didn't leave. Immediately after that, he actually stayed as 1-3 squad lead for a little bit. And then he discharged out because he essentially fucking had like a huge boog against him in his own squad. And then he left because like he was trying to do some stupid shit with like a machine gun squad. And there was like 2-man teams, and like there would be one guy carrying the Bravo, and then one guy wouldn't be carrying anything and just the ammo. It was super fucking retarded, but I don't know why. I don't know why he did it. It was like a PV2 that came in. It's like, dude, I want to do this. And Wesley's like, yeah, let's do it. And then like Brandoni's like, yeah, this is kind of fucking retarded. He's like, no, let me do it. So then he got fucking booged out and resigned. Then came back and got fucking banned from the community for shooting Martel in the head. But yeah, he was just being a problem child. There's a video, which I think that video was posted in Community Square today, where he fucking killed a POW. But that was when he came back. Anyway, yeah, so fucking attack. There was error on both sides. Yeah, they shouldn't have been censoring like some shit, not censoring another. You know what? You take those situations, you think about what either side could have done better. Obviously, the opposing party could have been like, hey, you know, let's talk about this professionally. I'd like to have a meeting, you know, talk about why this is allowed to, you know, why this isn't enforced, but what I put it's being enforced. Don't be a small wiener. That's a note I have for that discussion. Don't be a Sierra whiskey. If you ever need to call someone you don't like in a squad, you say, hey, your codename's Sierra Whiskey now. And they're kind of like, oh, yeah, that's fucking cool. But in reality, it just means small wiener. So we got Martel with that one at one point. We're like, Martel, you're Family X16 Sierra Whiskey. And he's like, oh, that's sick. We all knew what it meant, but he didn't. Command doesn't care about NCOs leaving. I mean, they do, but it's like, we're not going to be threatened. We're not going to have shit held above us because it's a big unit. Lots of shit can happen. And then just utilizing chain of command. All right, so that's that. Anybody got any stories about TACT? Anything we talked about? NCO prerogatives, retention? I'd really like to hear about you guys because I know I've got all these stories that I distribute down. But you know, if you've got stories from this unit, previous units,
In the real world, I had a master sergeant get court-martialed for having a lieutenant drill a glory hole in his office door.
oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
thought we were going for like fraternization or something, but
Yeah.
No,
I
man. I was
was-
going to Airman Leadership School when I had to testify in his court-martial.
Well, was it so the master sergeant and the lieutenant could like get it on, or it was just like a joke?
No,
or
he
what?
just like this master sergeant would he would take the airmen, so like for people who don't know Air Force, like E2s, E1s, and like make them get on their knees and like answer technical questions and stuff like that. He was just an asshole. Everything was a flex.
That's kind of unsad, but
It was
That's
a little
weird.
unset.
So I guess we could talk about it because it's something Busby stresses a lot in War College, and just in general. Sorry, I gotta catch my breath around. Don't vape, kids. Second warning. It's not that I vape a lot and I lose my breath from talking. It's just I hit my vape. I'm not that old yet. But talking about talking about not being stagnant. So this is going to come at all levels. Busby doesn't want the unit to be stagnant. You know, he came into his battalion CO spot and he immediately changed the unit. Marty did a little bit of that. He split the companies, made some stink, gave a little more power to the lower leadership, not just all on company, because it's a lot of shit to manage 120 guys among 3 guys. And so don't let yourself stagnate. That comes at all levels. Like, I don't want my company to stagnate. I set goals for the company. You know, I set goals. I took over S1 and I immediately set goals. I said, hey, I want to fill this leadership position within 2 weeks, this one within 1 week, this one within 1 week. I want this streamlined. This is how this is going to go. We're going to try and do this. This is a project I want you to work on. Giving that intent to the NCOs to execute. So S1 wasn't just sitting there in a pile of dog shit. And so don't let yourself stagnate. Don't let your fire team stagnate. Fucking get some fire team trainings going. Get some supplemental training. Push some videos to your guys about, there's tons of YouTube videos about maneuvers and formations and leadership principles. Just push that to your guys. Hey, give this a watch, you guys. Hey, I'm reading this book, About Face, by Colonel David Hackworth, and it's a really good book. You guys should check it out. It's got a lot of leadership stuff in it. Don't let yourself stagnate, and that's not to say don't be afraid to bring up an idea. Bring up an idea to your squad leader. Bring up an idea to your P sergeant, your PL. They're going to try and be as tact as possible. If it's a good idea, they'll run it down. Hopefully they're not lazy and just kind of make a note of it and then never do it. But they're going to run it down. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At least you try. At least you're putting the effort and the motivation there. And that only helps you in the end because they see you trying to be proactive in your billet or maybe going above and beyond your billet. And they're like, damn, this guy's motivated, and that gets that gets their attention. And so, I can't tell you how many times I've been looking at FTL's leave and I'm looking at the squads and I'm like, well, shit, it doesn't look like there's anybody to take it over. I guess I could use Tutu as an example. I was looking at it after Carter left, and I think what was that fucking kid's name? Aronow, salty bastard. They dipped out, retired both of them. One of them retired, one of them just kind of left on a whim. But I was looking at Tutu and I was like, well, fuck, there's they got all privates. I know this guy's definitely not taking the FTO billet. I know this guy. And they're like, oh, well, Davis. And I was like, well, who likes Davis? And they're like, no, he's a real motivator, man. He gets shit done. He does all this stuff. And I'm like, well, shit. I don't know that because I don't, interact with him on a daily basis directly. But, he caught the attention of his PL and P sergeant. Normally I'd be like, you were PV2 at the time, right, Davis, when he took over FTL?
Yes.
Okay, so normally I'd be like, PV2, FTL, I'd be like, well, why don't we look at some of the specialists you have or some of the PFCs? But he caught the attention of his superiors. They fucking put him in there. He's excelling. And so that kind of jumps into the jump at opportunity. You catch the attention of your direct leadership or your fucking, maybe some other leadership. Maybe somebody wants you to come to Phalanx. Maybe I'm looking at Custod and I'm like, fuck, man, this guy's going to be a good P sergeant or PO one day. I'm going to try and snag him from Ares. Which, quote unquote, that's kind of why I teach PLCs. So I can kind of poach some leaders. Don't tell anybody I said that. I think most of your fucking, we might have an even split between Ares and Phalanx. Richie's Phalanx, Brown, I think you're Phalanx, right?
Yeah, I'm Phalanx.
Custod and Kelsey, I know, are Ares. Davis is Phalanx, Armstrong's Phalanx, Cho is Ares, Baronell's Ares. Or, no, you're Phalanx, aren't you?
Ares.
Fuck. I almost had perfect record on that one. But catch your attention, be proactive, go above and beyond, help out your squad lead. Obviously, don't step on his toes and try to start doing all this shit with your squad. Because, if you're not the squad lead, and he might take offense to that. He might say, hey, man, just, give me a word if you want to throw an impromptu training out for the guys, or, if you want to start incorporating this and op, don't just kind of do it. So, work with them, shop duties, especially, obviously it might not help you in a operational billet, or you're like, oh, this dude's going to be an FTL because he's doing really great work in S1. Nah, probably not. But that helps you out, and as in a sense where they're looking at for leadership, and they're like, well, this guy goes above and beyond. He's doing impromptu trainings, or he's filling out all his paperwork. He gets on these requests a lot. We're going to consider him for fucking insert shop leadership position. So don't let yourself stagnate. Be motivated. Cho's caught my attention. He shows up to a lot of Phalanx's op as a reservist. Custod caught my attention. He's in War College. Richie caught my attention. He came and chilled with me and Busby and the boys in TS one time. Brown, I'm sorry you haven't caught my attention yet, but now you have. Now you have your PLC, but you haven't done anything on your own to catch it. Nothing for Bear now. Sorry, I already spoke on Cho. Armstrong, he's just fucking been here a while. Dedicated. Fucking nothing really stands out to me because he's been here for a hot minute. And Davis, obviously him just taking over the FTL billet as a PV2. Was definitely pretty poggers. So, God, I hate myself for saying that, but it just came to mind. But so we're gonna leave it there because I got company FTX to be in 7 minutes. So Any questions about what we talked about at all? Anything tact, leadership principles, bitch up, not down, through employment, PCCs, PCIs. Roger, kill. All right, so I will push the paperwork for this graduation. We're supposed to do a KT, but it's kind of like meh. Confident that you guys have the notes. Let's take a picture of that group. Davis, you were recording, right?
A firm.
Roger. So actually, nah, that's too much work. There's a lot of guys in this class. I was gonna have you like pull into my office after my FTX individually and like answer questions, but that's kind of boring. As long as you guys can assure me that you're gonna take these principles, you're gonna apply them, you're gonna keep them in mind. It's really good promo material. I know that I never served in a bill where I was conducting platoon level promo boards, but when I was accompanying, like, someone wanted to go corporal in my squad, I would definitely say, hey, what's the leadership principles? What's tact? What's OODA loop? It's all very good promo stuff. Maybe your platoons do ask that stuff. I don't know. I don't sit down platoon promo boards, unfortunately. But that's very good shit, especially if you're trying to go to a corporal. So just kind of think about that. Actually, well, technically not, because if you're going to corporal, then it's probably a baseline transfer and you're just getting booted from specialist to corporal. But trying to go for specialist maybe, or you're serving an FTL bill going to specialist, something like that. But it's good promo board material. It is improved on and talked about a little more in Corporal's course and SLC, as we talked about, kind of like with the resolutions. I gave you a little hint of what to expect in Corporal's course. Diving deeper into resolutions. So keep it in mind. Keep your notes. Pass them to friends. I know Davis, you're recording, right?
Yes.
I think we had a couple guys that weren't able to make it today, but they were gonna fucking watch the videos, or they came to day one and they're gonna watch the video. Revels, unfortunately, didn't show up to either, so he's gonna kind of get booted. But same with Cupper. But as long as you show up to one and then watch the video for the second, I'm fine with that, because at least you made the effort. So no more questions. You guys are dismissed. Kill. I got an FTX to be out if you're a Phalanx boy. I will try and teleport you. How about if you're a Phalanx boy? Yep, as you were, Kelsey. Thank you. If you're a Phalanx boy, go ahead and stay in the group. If you're not, go ahead and leave the group, please, quickly. Joe, leave the group, you boomer. Thank you.
Just call me Boomer.
Yeah,
Ooh, done.
all right.
Goodbye.
Now all I gotta do is get a J shop.
Ooh, I got to do this up today.
I'm trying to get an S1.
How do you open the door like halfway?
I got an S1
You just do it, man.